Hello, everyone. Welcome to another one of our LinkedIn Live events. And today's topic is how to speak your ideal client's language so that they buy without hesitation. Now, this is a live event that is particularly important for aspiring coaches before even existing coaches, because a lot of aspiring coaches tend to think that, you know, there is some magic that I'm supposed to do when I'm marketing, or that I don't know how to market, or that, I will just come on social media and start posting. Or even as a new coach, if you have not had clients yet or you're very new to marketing, you may not really understand how important it is to actually speak to your ideal clients. So, as such, this event is important for everybody, but it is specifically important for people who have not really enrolled themselves into a proper structured monetization program, because you haven't really learned what marketing is at its core, right? So if you believe that marketing is just going online and just writing on social media, or that, you know what, I will make a Calendly page or a top made page and I will just write on social media and that is how I will get clients, it doesn't work that way. I mean, if it would have been that simple, then honestly all of us would have been making money as a coach. But that's not, unfortunately, the truth for a lot of coaches. So you have to understand that it does not matter if you like where you are certified from. It does not matter how experienced you are. If you do not know how to speak your client's language, your clients are not going to find you, right? They will find it very, very difficult to find you because you are not speaking their language. And they are more like, see, we tend to respond to people who speak our language. We tend to respond to people who understand us, who see us, who make us feel seen and heard. So when you don't know how to do that, of course, right, when you don't know how to do that, people are not going to buy from you. So before we start with how to actually speak an ideal client's language, let's first understand, what does an ideal client even mean? Like, what does this term mean when I say ideal client? Before I start, I will just quickly check if my audio and video is fine. And if you don't know, we are having a 3-day training soon on becoming a coach who attracts clients, where we are going to discuss A to Z about marketing, how to create clients, how to overcome invisible blocks that you possibly could be struggling from. So if you haven't registered yet, you can find the link in the feature section of my profile. Okay, I think we're fine. Now, what is an ideal client? Now, think about it, right? When you think of becoming a coach, what kind of clients would you love to work with, right? Clients who don't know what they want, or clients who do know what they want? Clients who are always asking for discounts, always telling you that, oh, you are too expensive, or clients who do not look at money but look at the transformation, right? Clients who squeeze a lot of your energy, or clients who are deeply committed and they respect your boundaries? Clients who understand what you bring to the table, or clients who keep on asking you for reassurance? Will things change? Will this happen? Will that happen? Right? That's the difference between being able to work with an ideal client versus being able to work with anybody. Right? So when you become a coach, your client is not just everyone. It doesn't work that way, because two people can have the same problem. For example, let's say if your niche is self-love, right? Two people can have problems with self-love, and yet one of them could be an ideal client for you and another one is not. So, ideal client is nothing but qualities in a client that makes them wonderful to work with, right? For example, whenever I ask coaches, whenever they have not done this exercise, I ask them, like, what are the things that you are looking for in your clients? And then they tell me, somebody who shows up on time, somebody who is not very price sensitive, like, or not somebody who's always looking for a cheap deal, somebody who's committed to their growth, somebody who actually implements things that they want. And then I tell them that, when you are marketing, do you think about these qualities? And the answer is no, right? So you have to understand that an ideal client is somebody who you would love to work with. An ideal client is somebody who makes your work very enjoyable, right? Like, you go to any shop, right? You go to any shop and ask them that, what are the people that you love, selling to? And they would also have a list that, we love people who don't haggle much. We love people who know exactly what they want. We love people who don't waste our time, all of that stuff, right? So we all have certain qualities in our mind that we would love to see in our clients. That is what makes them ideal. And it is not some sort of a luck that some people always have great clients and some people do not. The difference is in how you are marketing, because at any point of time you are attracting clients based on the frequency you're emitting. Now, what do I mean by frequency? Frequency is your emotional state at any point of time, and that emotional state gets translated into your marketing, into your coaching skills, into everything that you do. So, whatever clients you are working with right now, if you're a coach, or you will work with if you're an aspiring coach or a new coach, please remember that you are fully responsible for creating them, because clients are not random, okay? They get attracted to you based on the energy you are emitting. And that is why when you change your energy, when you change your frequency, when you are vibrating at a certain level, again, which means that you are in a certain emotional state, you also get clients like that. If you're always very foggy and unclear, like your answer to who is your client is anybody is my client, like anybody who would like to pay me, anybody who would like to work on their emotions is my client, then you don't know what you're doing. Okay, you are being very generic, and you are basically saying that I'm okay to work with anyone. And see, the problem with that is that it doesn't mean that you will work with everyone. It doesn't mean that a lot of people will come and buy from you. It means that clients or people who may not fulfill your criteria, who may not meet the standards that, again, you probably would not have thought about but have not said, they're not going to meet them, right? So when you don't define, or when you are not specific about what am I, who am I speaking to, and who am I marketing to, then you will attract random people, right? And a lot of coaches get burnt out in this process also, because they are so desperate to work with anyone, they just work with anybody, right? They give big discounts, they will onboard clients at a very cheap rate, or they will, allow themselves to be exploited and do things like this. And as a result, they also attract clients like that. So if you're constantly attracting price sensitive clients, or if you're worried about attracting clients like that, then your job is not to blame the economy or the people. Look within, what in you is creating people like that, right? Now let's talk about what is an ideal client in a little bit more depth. Now, the first quality of an ideal client is somebody who is deeply committed, right? Somebody who is, taking up coaching because they are committed to their growth. You don't have to convince them, you don't have to motivate them. They themselves are coming here because they are deeply committed to their growth, right? That's one of the first standards that is common to all of us as coaches in our ideal client. Second is somebody who actually understands what they want, right? So, see, the major difference between therapists and coaches is that therapists can work with people who are unclear also, right? And that is why some people are not able to create a lot of results in therapy. But coaching is not for people who are lost, okay? And what I mean by that is coaching is for people who actually have some idea of what they want. Like if you come and sit with me in a session and you tell me, Yanchi, I don't know what I want. Now I can help you find what you want. I can help you, I have a lot of exercises that I do with my clients. But if you still say that, you tell me what to do, then I will tell you that, unfortunately, coaching is not for you, because you are not somebody who's looking to get coached. You are somebody who needs guidance and hand holding and all that stuff. But coaching is a partnership, right? Coaching is a partnership between the coach and the client. So a good quality, or a quality in an ideal client is somebody who actually knows what they want, right? If not fully, but they at least have an idea of what they would like to feel in their life. Now, the kind of clarity a client has, also depends on the kind of questions you're asking as coach. So I will definitely say that your ability to ask questions also plays a big role there. But still, a client should at least have an idea of what they want. Like, they should not be coming from a place of, nothing is going right in my life, but I still don't want to do anything about it, right? And that brings me to another point. Is another great quality in an ideal client is the quality of taking responsibility and accountability. Now, as I said, right, a major difference between coaching and therapy is that is therapy is for people who may not be ready to go after growth yet, right? They're stuck in a particular phase and they need a lot of work there, and that's okay. But coaching is not for people who are stuck. Coaching is for people who actually want to move forward, right? So the difference between therapy and coaching is that in coaching you have to take accountability and responsibility. Like, you cannot say that I'm not going to take accountability and responsibility and I'm going to still see results. It doesn't work that way. And that is why coaching is for goal focused people, result oriented people, like people who actually want results, right? And not everybody is at that place in their life that they are looking for results. Maybe some people are just looking for a place to vent, or a place to just talk about their emotions, which again coaching can also offer, but that's not truly the goal of coaching. Like, when you come to a coach, you are coming to create results. You can't create results from a place of, I will not take any responsibility. For that, you can go to therapy, right? Because that is a dedicated space for you to talk about yourself. It may or may not lead to goals, because therapy does not start from like specific goals, right? It starts by a place being yours, where you can talk about yourself, where you can talk about what you're going through. But a therapist is not going to really push you, but a coach will, because you start with certain goals, right? Okay, now let's talk about why are we talking about this. Like, why is it important to talk to your ideal clients? Now, let's take an example. Okay, let's say it's your sister's wedding. Okay, it's your sister's wedding, and you are out there shopping, and you decide to go in a market, and you're just roaming around the market to see that, where can I find good Indian wear, right? And you have certain ideas in your head that you want something elegant, something that is not, like, both for a man and a woman. You want something that is in trend, something that does not weigh you down, like not something very heavy, and something that complements your body and your skin tone, and something that, does not look too heavy, and something that is chic. Okay, like you have this idea in your head, and you go to the market, and then there is one person who is shouting that, who is shouting that, I'm selling wedding wear, I'm selling wedding wear, I'm selling wedding wear. Then there is another person who's shouting that I'm selling wedding wear that is right now in trend in XYZ colors, like I'm selling it in pastel colors, I'm selling it in this color, that color, and it is available for all body sizes from extra small to double XL. Okay, who are you more likely to go with? Who are you more likely to approach? Forget buying, just approach, right? The latter one. Why? Because that person is describing what you are looking for. If not 100%, at least 90%. That person is directly selling to you, right? That person understands you as well as the ideal clients that he has, and he's directly speaking to them. Now, that does not mean that the other person does not have a good collection. That does not mean that the other person is not going to have discounts. That does not mean that the other person cannot or will not have good, a variety of clothes, a variety of sizes. But he's not speaking to them. He's just stuck on wedding wear. But the other person is telling you the sizes he keeps, the color he keeps. He's using the exact words that you're looking for, things that are trending, things that are chic, things that are elegant and not very heavy, right? So basically the difference between you listening to somebody and not listening to somebody is how they're speaking to you, right? So imagine, like, anywhere you go, the more specific a person becomes, right, in trying to understand your needs, the more they sell, right? Now I'll tell you something very interesting. So I'm in my hometown right now, and there is this brand called Top in Town. uh, it's an ice cream brand, basically. If you're in Maharashtra, you might know. So recently, I have been trying to eat a bit mindfully, and that is why whenever I indulge in ice creams or anything of that sort, I try to go for low calorie options. Okay, and now, in my head, the terminology is low calorie, right? So whenever I try to look for low calorie desserts, I just go on Blinkit or Zepto or whatever, and I look for low calorie ice creams, right? Before even checking the label, that's the terminology I'm looking for. And usually I found brands like, I think, Go Zero, Getaway, and whatnot, like brands that have recently come up. And a while back, my mother got like a lot of ice creams for me and my sibling, and she kept it inside the fridge. And at that point of time, other ice creams were not available. So I thought that, you know what, for just today, let me just indulge in a Top in Town ice cream. So just in general, I was looking at the labels because it's something that I do, and I found that that ice cream had lesser calories than the ice cream that other brands had, and it tasted better. Like the Top and Down ice cream tasted better, it had lesser calories, but I was not going for that. Right, I was going for other brands, even though they did not taste that good, because they had the low calorie option on them. Even though when I looked at the ingredients, when I looked at the that entire calorie information there is on the label, when I looked at the Top and Down ice cream, it had lesser calories, and I was blown away. I first thought that it's a mistake, it can't be real. So I researched a little bit, and I found that a lot of the ice creams are not very high in calories if you really look at the label, right? And the brands who sort of like market themselves as low calories and not necessarily great ingredients, they cater to people who are fitness conscious, they cater to people who are health conscious, right? Even though they may taste um, not as good as other brands, yet they sell better for these category, right? So I was blown away because Top and Down does not market itself as a low calorie brand or something like that, right? Whereas this other brand was, even though the calories were same, or even or in fact the latter one had more. The brands that were advertising themselves as low calories had more calories, like not a lot, but still 15-20 calories more. But the Top and Down one did not, right? So I was very blown away by that, because that made me realize that what a difference it makes in the things that you write, the consumer that you speak with and the words that you use, right? So similarly, you could be selling a better product, right? You could be the better coach, you could be the better service provider. Yet if you don't speak to your ideal client, and specifically you don't speak your ideal client language, your ideal client will not be able to find you, right? They will not be able to find you, they will not be able to buy from you even though they have the money, right? If they have the money, they have the intention, but because you're not speaking their language, they can't find you, right? Something that happened with me recently, right? I was not eating Tom and Town because I genuinely did not know, and I did not even bother to check because they don't market themselves like that. Not that they have to, but I'm just saying that they don't. And I was going for other brands which honestly did not taste good at all, but they were marketing themselves as low calories. So I went with that. Of course, I checked the label there also, and it was just an assumption that Top and Town or Amul or other brands would naturally have more calories, right? Because this particular brand is saying low calories, the other one would naturally have more calories. But that was not the case, and this was a recent realization I had, right? So you have to understand that if you don't speak your ideal client's language, even though you might have a superior way of coaching, they will not find you, right? And let's say if there is another coach who is speaking their client's language, they may not be as great as you, but they will still sell more than you, right? Now, before I move forward, I'm going to quickly check if we are doing fine in terms of internet. I think we are fine. Wait, no, something happened. Okay. Now, I think we're doing fine. So let's move on to another point. Now, as I said, that if you don't speak your ideal client's language, they will simply not be able to find you. Another point is that when you don't speak your ideal client's language, you are going to have low quality coaching conversations. And this is something that I hear a lot from coaches. That the kind of conversations I'm having, the people are so unserious. They are just booking call with me because it's free, or they're just booking calls with me because they want to vent and stuff like that. So when you're not speaking to your ideal clients, you are also going to have very flimsy conversations, low quality conversations, and similarly very low quality conversions. Another thing is that you will also find people who will always have a problem with your pricing, or who will not have boundaries, or who basically will make you frustrated, right? Because that's the thing with low quality clients, they frustrate the shit out of you. They make you feel that why the hell, am I doing this? So when you don't speak to your ideal clients, you don't get those qualities in the people that you're working with, right? Now, the next thing is that when we speak to our ideal clients, there is no wasted efforts. Now, a big problem that I see when coaches are trying to market themselves is that they think that a lot of my time is going into marketing when nothing is happening, right? And you have to understand that when you're not speaking to your ideal client, yes, it may be going to waste. But when you are speaking to your ideal clients, even though you may not see the vanity metrics of likes and comments, you have to understand that your client is getting nurtured. Why? Because the more specific your marketing is, the more specific your resources are, the more specific everything you make geared towards your ideal client, they are consuming it, right? So everything that you write, everything that you add has value, right? And it is not random. When it is random, that is when your efforts is going to a waste. When it's not random, it's not going to a waste. Now, let's start with how do you actually speak to your ideal clients. Now, I have described it in a lot of depth in my upcoming training that I'm doing. So, if you would like to understand this topic even more, you can register there. But I'm going to give you a simple idea of how to really speak to your ideal clients. Now, when you are trying to speak to your ideal clients, you have to first design something called an ideal client profile, which means what is my ideal client really, really like, right? Now, the first question you ask yourself is define who they are. Now, here you can define them on the basis of their gender, on the basis of their profession, on the basis of age, whatever it is, define who they actually are, right? That's the first differentiation. Second is what is the biggest problem that they're struggling with? Now, based on your niche, it could be anything, right? And based on wherever you are, whatever clients you're serving, it could be anything. For example, let's say if your niche is self love, then you have to ask yourself that what are the three biggest problems that my clients could be experiencing under the area of self love, right? Maybe their self talk is really bad, maybe they judge themselves very harshly, or maybe their inner critic is always loud, or maybe they have a people pleasing problem, whatever, right? So after defining who the ideal client really is, right? And here, as I said, you can describe it in terms of gender, in terms of age, in terms of profession. For example, maybe your ideal client could be somebody who's a corporate professional or a businessman, women in 40s, men who are transitioning into tech roles, students who are looking for clarity, whatever, right? So that could be anything. You can pick up any demography there. Second is, what problems are they really, really struggling with, right? What are the 3 to 5 biggest problems that they're struggling with? This helps you empathize with your ideal clients. This helps you really go into their shoes and really ask yourself, what exactly could they be thinking about on a daily basis? What is keeping them up at night? What are the things that they keep on feeling bad about? What are the things that is stopping them from moving forward, right? The next question you have to ask yourself is, what are the results they're looking for? Now, this is very important, because a lot of times coaches stop at what are the problems my clients are struggling with, right? But that's not enough. You and your friend could both be struggling with confidence, and yet you may want to feel confident, but your friend may not. So your friend automatically becomes somebody who may not be, let's say, my ideal client. So you have to understand that results are also equally important. What are the results that my ideal client is really looking for? This helps you understand how to really integrate it into your marketing, and how to really help them resolve that problems through multiple ways in your sessions, yes, but also in your marketing. So what are the results they're looking for? The next is, what are their core values? This helps you really get inside your client's soul and body. This helps you really understand what is their compass of compass of life. How do they look at life? How do they approach things? Next is, what are their biggest strengths? What are their deepest desires? Right? This is one of my favorite questions. What are the deepest desires of my clients, the ideal clients, that they're probably not telling anybody else, or probably things that they have stopped thinking about, but they really deeply desire? This again helps you understand your clients at a very deep level, at a level that they themselves may not be thinking about, right? The next is, what are their hidden weaknesses, or what are their hidden shortcomings that are stopping them, right? And this is again something that gives you an it gives you another layer, and it gives you a different perspective towards how can you speak to them from all the angles, right? And this is how you actually design your ideal client profile. You think from every angle. You don't just think from, and this is something a lot of coaches do. Like when I ask them, okay, how do you really market? They say that I just go on social media and I just write content. And when I ask them, okay, what do you write about? Whatever I feel like, whatever my problems are, whatever I think people want to hear. That's not how you market. Okay. If you want to write for yourself, by all means write a diary. Okay. Do not confuse your own personal feelings with marketing. Do not confuse that I will just guess what people have. No, don't do that. Marketing is something wherein you create value for other people. You're not doing it for yourself. You want to do something for yourself, you do it on your personal time. But do not say that I'm just going to go online on social media and I'm just going to write what I feel. That's not how it works. I have seen so many coaches become hopeless over time and quit purely because they don't understand that when you are marketing, it needs to be structured, it needs to be well thought out, it needs to be intentional, right? Like, you don't go and open LinkedIn and think about, okay, what do I feel like today? Sure, there is a part of it, you can do that, but that is not going to bring in clients. That is something you can do to share your thoughts. So that is also something, and this is a question that I also posed in the last training I did for coaches, is that, are you somebody who actually wants to be a paid coach, or are you somebody who wants to be a hobby coach? Because there is a difference in approach. A hobby coach is somebody who works on their mood and emotions. A hobby coach is somebody who does not learn structured monetization. A hobby coach is somebody who does not have a support system of his own, right? So his or her business is based on their mood. लाइक आज मन कर रहा है तो कर लेंगे, कल मन नहीं कर रहा है, घर पे कुछ हो गया, इन हिंदी समथिंग हैज हैपेंड इन माय होम सो आई विल नॉट वर्क टुडे, समथिंग हैज हैपेंड इन माय लाइफ. So that is not how a business works. Please understand that. Even though in your coaching business you require very little effort, right? You technically don't require 3 to 4 hours of work every single day, that too with a full practice, right? If you don't have a full practice, it's even less. But it only becomes less when the less amount of work that you're doing, it's highly structured. And that is exactly what we do inside LCTM, right? In my signature training and monetization program, the reason monetization is included is because if you don't know how to do structured monetization, that your certificate is nothing but a glorified piece of paper. So if you're an aspiring coach or if you're an existing coach, ask yourself, do you want to be a hobby coach? Like, do you want to do coaching as a side hobby? If that's the case, then that's fine. If you really want to create clients, if you really want to have a practice where you're getting paid, you need to learn structured monetization, right? And you're very welcome to join my upcoming training that's happening from 24 to 26 called Becoming a Coach Who Attracts Clients, where we are basically going to talk about what is it that you need to do and who is it that you need to become so that clients come to you and you don't have to go out there and chase them, right? Now, there is another point that I want to mention. Now, a common thing that also happens with coaches is that they don't have standards for their clients, right? So I'll tell you something. I've been a coach for 4+ years now. Okay, I started in 2022 February, and it's been 4+ years. From starting at, I think, like my first package, the first offer that I ever sold was of about 3 sessions for 3,300 rupees. To now, I charge 15 times more than that, right? I have gotten clients at every price point, and I'll tell you a difference in the first year of my business and today, right? In the first year of my business, because see, I did not have a program like LCTM. Okay, I enrolled myself into programs where no monetization was taught, or they lasted for just 2 or 3 months. LCTM is a lifetime program. LCTM is a program where my students also discuss their personal life with me, where they discuss every emotional mental block that they're experiencing. I did not have a support system like that. So my learning was very haphazard. Okay. So I did not really know that you're supposed to have standards as a coach, because I also came with this intention that I will help everyone. And unfortunately, that is not true. You can't help everyone, and you need to have standards and boundaries as a coach. So in the first year of my business, even though my business, did well, I was able to scale it to 6 figures organically in the first 6 to 7 months. But I did have a lot of low quality conversations too. I will not lie. Like, I genuinely had a lot of low quality conversations. And the reason was, every time I had a low quality conversation, because now that I look back, it was when I was not keeping high standards for my clients. So a common question I like to ask coaches whenever they're struggling with this, with an issue like this, is that, do you have standards for the people who can work with you? Like, do you work with anyone, or do people need to have certain standards to work with you? Because if you ask me, I don't work with people who are always stuck in victim mode. I don't work with people who are always looking for discounts. I don't work with people who like to blame other people. I don't work with people who are not committed. Right? That is something that I make clear in my communication, in my energy, and in my marketing. And I have never worked with a client like that after, I think, the first year of my business. Because the first year of my business, I genuinely did not know how to bring that energy. It took me a lot of time, right? And that is why it is so important to be inside programs where you actually have a mentor who's teaching you these things. I did not have that, right? So a lot of my energy did go to waste. I did burn out in the first year. And it took me some time to understand what I was not doing right. So please understand that even if somebody wants to pay you, they are not necessarily your ideal client. They need to have certain qualities, and you have to define that. You have to define, what are the qualities I'm looking for in my clients. Like, am I willing to work with anybody, or I actually want to work with high quality people, people who have integrity, people who have values, or whatever it is, that is important to you. Because you can't just look at people from a lens of money. If that is the case, then a lot of low quality people also will pay you for your coaching, right? But they will suck the life out of you, they will suck energy out of you. And I've seen a lot of coaches quit because of that. So how your ideal client comes in your life also depends on the standards you are willing to set. So really think about, what are 3 to 5 qualities I am looking for in my clients. And this is where the point of negotiables and non-negotiables also comes into the picture, right? What are some negotiable qualities that you are okay with in your clients, and what are things that are non-negotiable? For example, I'll tell you a few things about my clients. For me, because I'm a single person, okay, I don't really have any responsibility as such. Right now I'm in my home, and everything is really taken care of. I don't cook, I don't clean, none of that. And when I live in Bangalore also, I live in a serviced accommodation, so there's nothing really I have to do. So I don't have any responsibility as such. So one thing that is negotiable to me is time. So I have worked, like, I have taken sessions with my international clients at 9 p.m. also, 10 p.m. also. Once I took a session at 11 p.m. also, because it genuinely does not bother me once in a while. right? Because I don't have responsibilities. Now, if you are somebody who has a full life, let's say maybe you are a corporate professional and you only take sessions on the weekend, or maybe you have a family. So for you, time slots would be non-negotiable, that I cannot work beyond certain times. For me, a big non-negotiable quality is that you are committed. If you're not committed, then I point it out, even though I've been very lucky, and I genuinely believe it is because of the way I've run my business that I haven't gotten clients like that, right? I did work with one or two people like that in the first year of my business for a few sessions. And after that, I understood how important it is to set standards, right? So for me, non-negotiables is how a person's approaches towards whatever it is that we're discussing in our sessions. So whenever somebody works with me, I always remind them that us talking is not enough. Like, this is not a therapy session. You just want to talk, you go to therapy. But if you're going to come to coaching, and if you're specifically going to work with me, then you need to take action, because we are here to create results, right? So that is non-negotiable for me. Another negotiable for me is the time that we are spending with each other. So see, I am a trauma informed coach, right? So I do a lot of heavy work with my clients. Like, when I'm having sessions with my clients, they release a lot of trauma, they release a lot of emotions, and that requires time. So I don't time my sessions. Like, my sessions are not always strict 60 minutes or 70 minutes. I tend to let them flow, right? I tend to follow the clock of my body clock of my clients. So that is something that's okay with me, but that is not always okay with a lot of coaches. So you have to figure out what is negotiable for you and what is non-negotiable for you, right? Now, all of this is what you combine into your marketing, and that is how none of your efforts will ever go to waste. Like, I can't tell you how many times. So if you really look at my profile, if you look at the resources I create, I don't get a lot of likes and comments. Okay, I don't get that, but I can't tell you how many times I've gotten clients who have told me that, Rianchi, we have been consuming your resources, your content, your marketing for so long, but they never liked or commented, yet they became my clients. So don't look at likes, comments, or vanity metrics. Remember that if you create from a place of specificity, from a place of alignment, where you really are creating from a place of structure and clarity, the right people are always watching. They may not always tell you that they're watching, but they are watching. And that is why you have to understand that you are a coach, not a content creator. Content creators need views, yes, but as a coach, you don't need views, you need clients. And that happens when you understand who you are speaking to, right? And if you're somebody who is an aspiring coach who wants to get trained, certified, and actually learn how to monetize their business from scratch, and you are somebody who also wants to work on themselves, you're very welcome to inquire about my program LCTM. It's a lifetime life coach training and monetization program where you get support from A to Z. You can DM me LCTM and get on a call with me. And if you are somebody who would like to understand how to become a coach who attracts clients, you're very welcome to join me in my upcoming free training, which is happening from 24 to 26th April. You can find the link of it in the feature section of my profile. And if there are any questions that you may have about becoming a coach, or you're an existing coach and you want to monetize, my DMs are always open. You can always ask me whatever you wish to. I just want to let you know that I teach organic marketing. So if you're somebody who wants to do ads and everything, then I'm not the right person for you. I am somebody who has scaled my business from zero to where I am right now completely organically. So I teach that. So if that is the kind of coach you want to become, then I'm the person for you. Thank you so much for joining. I don't really think I have questions as such. So we are going to bid a goodbye for today. Yeah, I don't think we have questions. Thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.